What's up, Heroclix fam? Welcome back to the channel, Power Action Clix. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Prime Spider-Man from the Heroclix set, Spider-Man Beyond Amazing, based on the Wallcrawler's 60th anniversary celebration, and more importantly, the comic book he's from, The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 300. A lot of people are going to recognize that comic book right off the bat, and let's actually take a look at the figure here. And this pose and this comic book cover have actually been used in many other various comic books, such as Spawn. The issue 301 that's right after this has Spider-Man in the same exact pose, but in his regular costume. And there's been many more throughout the years. Just really beautiful. And I mean, we don't really get too many of these Spider-Man in a black costume, and also one that is literally off this iconic comic book, issue number 300. And he is a Prime, so you are only going to be able to run one Prime. And let's take a look at his card. So Spider-Man has the keywords Avengers, Spider-Man Family, Symbiote, Reporter, and Scientist. Those are all really great keywords. You could run him on any of those easily. We've gotten so many symbiotes lately. You can definitely make some really good Spider-Man family. You could throw Arachnite, the War of the Realms Spider-Man, Madam Web, and a few other figures and make an awesome team. He's also really good in Avengers. I've seen people that were trying to use him and the Scarlet Witch from Disney+. And he has the traded ability, like a lot of the Spider-Man family, Wallcrawler, giving him Leap Climb and Free. Place this character in a square different elevation within 4 squares in line of fire. This is going to help him move around the map quite a bit. He already can use Leap Climb, so he can charge over elevated terrain and such without having to stop. And he can use that free ability. It's going to help him move around the map pretty quick. And then he has the other traded ability, Subconscious Crime Fighting. Free, if Spider-Man has 2 action tokens, give him a costed action as free. If you did, after resolutions, deal Spider-Man 1 unavoidable damage. So let me start off by saying why it's called Subconscious Crime Fighting is because in one of the last times when he was actually sleepwalking, and the symbiote at the time was taking him over basically and going and fighting crime while he was asleep. He has 1 action token on him, so he can charge in there, even picking up a object on the way to hit somebody with, and using his flurry, and then he gets his 2nd action token. You can use this traded ability for free, and give him a costed action as free. If you did, after resolution, deal him 1 unavoidable damage. You can't charge in flurry, but you can just make a regular attack. Let's say he's based to the Scarlet Witch here, and he already has 1 token on him. He can use Flurry as a costed action, and then he can use his Subconscious Crime Fighting trait for free and do Flurry for free. So it is possible to make 4 attacks with him. And moving on in his card here, and then he has the movement ability. Amid the chaos, there comes a costume. Charge, Flurry, Sidestep. The Sidestep can also be used to give him a little bit more movement across the map and in his charge. And he has 2 different starting clicks. At 80, he's going to have 8 clicks of health, and at 50, he's going to have 5 clicks of health, which is pretty decent. He has 4 range with dual targeting, and he is going to start out with his movement ability on both clicks, as well as super strength, his defense ability, which we're going to look at in a second, and perplex, which can help. And then on the back of the card, he has symbiotic fusion, super senses, impervious, and protected outwit. Protected outwit can be very important. You don't want your character to get outwitted and then donked in 1 turn. Very important in the meta. And he has super senses with the Spider-Man team ability, which is going to give him +1, so he can evade on a 4, 5, or 6. And then he has impervious, which he can, again, get out of another attack with 5 or 6. Now let's take a look at a couple teams with him here. So this team we have War of the Realms Spider-Man. Awesome piece. It's going to help you with probability control. He has a really good super senses, which increases the result by 1 for each time that the attack is re-rolled. And then he has the time dial. When you make an attack or when your opponent makes an attack, you and him both have to roll 3 dice, and you get to pick the highest 2 or the best 2. Then he has probability control, and adjacent friendly characters have safeguarded opposing probability control, which can really come in handy. Improved movement, elevated terrain for 75 points. And he's got, range 6, triple targeting. And yeah, just a really good piece, especially for the Spider-Man family. And he's also Asgard, which is a big bonus, and Avenger. And then we have Madam Web. She's on here because all these figures have super senses. And you can take off the rally and use it as the result for the super senses. And then she also has this traveling the universal web, which I think is a super useful ability. For free, choose a friendly character with the Spider-Man family keyword within 4 squares. Until your next turn, that character can use basically moving through walls and moving through opponents' bases. So you can just charge past people with your Prime Spider-Man and smash them in the face, or you could send them through a wall. Both very useful. She's just great Spider-Man support, and she gets to use probability control twice. So that's, again, going to really help out with your War of the Realms Spider-Man. And then we have Heroclix. Awesome piece. And I believe I am running him here on this team at the 100-point mark, and I am running him with Soul Sword. He's going to have, stealth, super senses, flurry, improved movement elevated, improved movement through people's bases, and he's going to have targeting over elevated terrain. He has precision strike. He has his placement ability here, if you're able to roll it, which is really good. He has is it 2-stop clicks? 2-stop clicks with regeneration, toughness, and willpower. I love Warp World keyword, Mystics, Scientist. You could run all these guys on a Scientist team. The back of his card. 5 range, dual targeting, perplex, charge, 100 points and 60 points. So we're basically running him at 110 with Soul Sword. You could run the Soul Sword, or you could even run the Darkhold. I like to run the Soul Sword. So it's possible to give Arachnite Flurry, Blades, Claws, Fangs. But you will have 5 points left over, and you could potentially use it for Super Soldier Serum or Captain America Shield. You could give Captain America Shield to Spider-Man here so he's not so easily attacked at a range. Or you could even give him the Super Soldier Serum. Make sure he has that willpower. Yeah, I'd probably go with the Captain America Shield so he's not easily taken out at a range. And again, this was the 300-point build, and you would have Soul Sword on Arachnite, then one of these on your Spider-Man, and of course the Black Symbiote on your Prime Spider-Man. And next, let's take a look at this 400-point build I had made around this Spider-Man. And of course, I got Arachnite at the 60 points with Soul Sword, making him 70. Spider-Man again, 75. Iron Hammer here at 100. Prime Spider-Man again at 80. And Scarlet Witch at 75. Really adding the Iron Hammer and Scarlet Witch in here is going to give you a lot more firepower. One of the things I actually like to do is give Iron Hammer the Darkhold. So he has improved targeting, hindering, elevated, and through characters, which is pretty nifty. But I do have it here on Scarlet Witch. She's kind of like a little cannon. She shuts off powers. And Iron Hammer is giving just a really good range combat expert piece, as well as his awesome super senses. Bounces back the attack at your opponent if you roll high enough. It's not quite an Avengers team, but these are some of my favorite pieces. Based on the Amazing Spider-Man comic issue number 300 titled Venom in 1988, which was also the 25th anniversary of the character. Featuring art from one of the webhead's most famous artists, Todd McFarlane, with a dark art style and a gripping story, this is a comic you're going to want to read for yourself. Based on the Amazing Spider-Man comic issue number 300, titled Venom in 1988, which was also the 25th anniversary of the character. Featuring art from one of the webhead's most famous artists, Todd McFarlane, with a dark art style and a gripping story, this is a comic you're going to want to read for yourself. This is considered the first full appearance of Venom for around $1,500 for a pristine copy. Most people will know this comic straight off the bat with a super iconic cover. It's been cover swiped countless of times. A few that I know of are the next issue in the series, Spider-Man 301, with the same style and pose, just his normal costume. Another one is Spawn issue number 227. Looking at these covers, you can really see the influence it's had on Spawn. You gotta really appreciate the artist's attention to detail in his work and how beautiful the art is. I just wanted to touch on some highlights from the comic because there is a lot going on, not give you the whole story. It starts off with Mary Jane frightened out of her mind. Her home's been invaded by someone that looks just like Spider-Man, but he grew a mouth, as she puts it. When Peter gets home, they have to get out of there because one of his villains has found where they live. It tells a story of how he found the symbiote on another planet. He realizes that the symbiote wanted to bind with him permanently. He ends up subduing the alien and thinks that it's been destroyed. We get an origin story for Eddie Brock, where he reported on a case called the Sin Eater. A man came forward confessing he was the killer to Eddie. It comes back around when Spider-Man catches the real killer for this case, and it ends up ruining Eddie's career, and he blames Spider-Man. The symbiote ends up actually finding this ruined Eddie Brock in the church that Spider-Man thought he had defeated it in because it was sensitive to the bells of the church. It latches onto him, and they realize they have a common enemy, Peter Parker. This was the last time he wore the black suit on a regular basis, from what I understand. Peter ends up throwing away his black costume because it makes Mary Jane uncomfortable given the home invader and Venom. We saw some interesting moments, one of Spider-Man's villains finding his home and the trouble this caused. They found him in the place where he's the most vulnerable, at home. We saw the backstory for Eddie and Venom. We learned a lot about the suit and the symbiote. This about wraps up the video. I think this was a great example of how awesome Heroclix really can be and how they really can touch on these awesome pieces of comic book history. This isn't exactly an iconic piece, but this is definitely an iconic piece of Heroclix and comic book history. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.